Let's see if this is working now. Okay. Attempt number 2. Anyways, I said something I feel like could be misinterpreted. So I'm just redoing it. All right. Anyways, I've been using this application called Kiro. Let me see if everything is working. Yeah, it looks like it. Gonna redo this as well. Microphone is working. Yeah. Is the live thing working? Yeah. All right. Round 2. I've been using this application called Kiro. I think it's Kiro. It's very interesting. It offers a lot of unique aspects to programming with the whole agentic AI stuff. And it's impressive to me how much things have changed from the original ChatGPT to now with programming specifically. So this thing, as far as I understand it so far, it's more design focused rather than implementation focused, with the AI doing design as well. And for me personally, as someone that's done software development and just general programming since kind of the mid 90s, I think 96, 97 is probably around 97 that I started really getting into Visual Basic programming and such on Windows 95. No, as a hobbyist, not as a paid person. Um, it's impressive how this specific one focuses more on design. And I've been doing that. But the issue I see already is that it's going to be very expensive. How's it going? How are you today? I'm still trying out this Kiro IDE type thing. Although I'm running out of credits, so it's only going to last as long as I. Oh, sleepy? Okay. I imagine. It is 8 p.m. here. I'm not sure what that would be in 8, 12, 20, 20 o'clock in the 24 hour. 8, 9, 10. No, yeah, 20. Anyways, this program, I have been using it more. I've been using it to further the design of the application I'm making. And it's very impressive. It's got a lot to it. And to me, the design aspect is the most important aspect, because if the design doesn't make any sense, if you don't get into the details of how it should work, then it's probably not going to turn out amazingly. I mean, you can just go ahead and try to start programming something without thinking too much, and once you get it to a certain skill level, you kind of, oh, that's all good. Once you get to a certain skill level, you can basically just start programming a lot of stuff and it's fine. But to me, especially for more advanced projects, I think the design aspect is super important. Yeah. So, like I said, this specific AI type agentic thing, it has a very strong design focus, which I think is cool. It's pretty impressive. But my main concern with all of this stuff is the cost. Oh, yeah, it's all good. The cost of all of this, like, data center based compute. There are some local solutions, but hardware is so expensive now. Hopefully things change, that development Sure, I can understand data centers and stuff. They have access to very advanced, very expensive, very large computers. But I really do hope that things change enough that local is very, very viable, which it is in some ways, but it's still extremely expensive to get any type of like enough VRAM, enough storage, enough compute to run super large models, super advanced models. But I hope that changes. So we'll see into the future. I'm just concerned that programming is going to turn into some type of paywalled activity. If you want to run at the higher levels of function, having programs that are kind of the current level of functionality, features, all that. I feel like AI is going to be a necessity in a lot of ways because it is able, especially for solo developers. Obviously, large teams can kind of work that out, but there's no reason for them not to use these tools either. So I just think that the functionality, features, and everything of software moving forward is going to be much higher of a higher level than it's ever been, because I'm already personally doing projects that I would never have attempted in the past because I knew how much time it would take me to make them. And it's not just the implementation thing, it's the research and understanding the specifics of API that you need to use, understanding the specifics of open source project that you want to use to make the thing faster and function the way you want. And all that adds up time-wise to in a programming sense, in a software development type of focus. So I feel like it's going to be a necessity in a way for a lot of people that do want that high level of functionality, features, and everything in their stuff that they're making. Of course, you can just go and do whatever and write your own code and all that. And I'm sure there's some very, very skilled programmers that are very exceptional at implementing all that stuff. I've never been that way. I mean, I've made a fair amount of stuff, fair amount of decent projects, just writing code. But even so, I would hope and prefer to go this route into the future. I'm just concerned about the cost. So I really hope that local solutions with this level of functionality will exist at some point and be viable to run locally. So anyways, I still have a few credits on this. Looks like 70-ish. So I'm going to keep trying to use it to add more to this big project. And this one that I ran today, but I haven't tested yet personally, it did a lot of stuff and it burned through maybe 100 credits going through the design process of one little feature. But I pushed it and I tried to give it a lot of versatility and function in the process of doing that. So basically tests. I've been trying to not motivate, but get this AI to focus on testing, like creating tests for the application itself so that when it's trying to verify its own work, it can run these tests and be confident that something is working how it should. Because you can easily just compile a program, but that doesn't mean anything. And some of these agentic programming tools, sure, they'll try to compile a program, that's cool, or they'll do a little bit of input testing or something. But with this one, it's actually building additional software on the testing side so that it can verify very specific things about a feature to make sure that it works. So we'll see if it actually achieves that when we test this for ourselves. I don't even remember at this point what the specifics were of the feature I had it implement. Let's see. Okay. Let's close these so they're not the focus right now. So look at this line item here. Not yesterday, but previously, I had it create a design document. I had it create a testing methodology document, work items document, and work completed document, where it would take work items that are done and put them into the completed. Well, actually, let me do one more thing here to get my other chat window visible in case I need it. Here we go. So all of that, it used a lot of compute, no surprise. And I don't have a ton of tokens left with this first test of this Kiro thing. But yeah, today I went through that and I had it show me the options, show me the things that we had considered implementing. So we've got the source media selection markers. Again, this is a big video editing application. Not just video editing, but more of like a management. So basically a virtual video studio in a box in your computer. That's kind of the general idea, but there's a lot to it. There's little pieces here and there, and it's very, even now I've been spending a lot of time on it, but it's still just a fraction of what I would hope to have work and function. Anyways, this was the feature that I focused on earlier today with the AI based on a big, like I said, the big design document, the big testing methodology document, which are all over here as well. We could look at before I get into the specifics. So there's various line items here that were, high priority to work on. Like I said, based on talking to it when I was doing the design and everything else. So dead air tail trimming feature. When you put a clip on the timeline, usually when you do some sort of recording, you're going to have a pause or just empty space at the start and at the end, because you're moving your hand to click stop recording or start recording. And then you focus your thoughts and you talk to the camera or something. Or you have a camera facing you or camera focused on something. There's always going to be a little gap or a large gap at the start and at the end. So that's what this feature is going to do, is remove those pieces of footage that have no use. So I haven't implemented that, but I did this top one today. We'll check it out later. And then there's a few more here. Like I said, these are high priority ones, but there's a bunch of other ones that I want to do. And it's all in the design and the other documents. Timeline gap, auditor, yeah, bunch of stuff. So today when I asked it, let me see here. Anyways, I had asked it for something to work on, and this is what I came up with. So I went through the process of that, which there's a lot. Created a requirements document as well, which we can take a look at, which is big unto itself. Goes into the details of how it should work. Even has a glossary and everything. It's pretty cool. I mean, I don't know if I want to spend time reading all of this. I should. And in a professional sense, definitely I would. But this isn't especially professional. So anyways, that is a large requirements document for this small little feature. I probably should have told it not to be this detailed, because it just wastes compute. Like I said, I'm running out of tokens. It goes and makes a design document. Again, very huge document here. So, yeah, that's a lot. It's giving little pieces of code. Honestly, the way that this works is probably, for someone starting out, it'd probably be a nice tutorial of sorts of how it makes these documents and what it puts inside them for ones that people would make by hand in a professional sense. And then made a task list. So we can see it went through all of these tasks. Pop up in this drink here. I'll be talking too much. I don't know if I need more caffeine because I already drank a large tea. 2 of them actually. But this is sparkling ice, caffeine, strawberry citrus. It's a carbonated drink. Not bad. It does have sucralose in it, which I'm not thrilled about, but it tastes pretty decent. Yep, so there's a large task document going everything that needed to be done. Like I said earlier, I had it focus on making tests so that it could verify itself and all of the things that it makes. So before we get more into this, which I mean, I guess there's not too much else, we can look at the actual result in Visual Studio. See what it did. Let's build it and see if it builds. Yep. You can go into the dashboard. Let's see what it changed here. So it should be in here. So it struggled to place it put it in here, which doesn't make a ton of sense. But I mean, there isn't much space. So that's part of it. We can take it out and put it over somewhere else. Or I can move these. Put these over here. This one's not needed, really. So I'll probably just disable these or get rid of it at some point. Because that was replaced by this one. But this should be the new feature in there. I mean, based on this thing. Go into here. I've had issues with Visual Studio and not showing the properties. So I think I need to just restart the application. It's a little irritating, but there we go. So here we've got the name of that control right there. Go inside this button. You can look for that one. Let's go to see where it runs actual code. So it's probably making this, it makes this profile and then it passes it somewhere probably. Yeah. So it does a threaded function here. Go to definition. So inside here, we've got our profile, which says what to run. And it looks like it's doing another function call here that is threaded because it says await. And then we've got the profile here, which should have a checkbox, like a Boolean value for that specific feature if it's enabled. I haven't really looked at the code much. So let's go in here. And part of programming, I think, should be the case, unless it just gets so advanced that it wouldn't make sense. Knowing how the code works, understanding what the code means, I think is going to be important for a long time. So I wouldn't suggest to someone only to do AI-based programming. I think you should do a fair amount of manual stuff to start so you understand. But the thing is, you probably would need years to know enough. It's difficult. Yeah, I don't know. If you are starting off, I do think at the very least it'd be worth putting some time and effort into. It can just be occasionally of trying to really understand the code, trying to write it yourself and get in there and understand how it all works. Because if you don't know that, you can't verify anything for yourself that AI makes. So in here we can look for I think it's this one. I was checking if this is set, this Boolean, and it's going to run this group of processing if it is. Sorry, this drink is carbonated. In here we can see it prints a log entry. We've got, so this goes to the console, the built-in console in the application. If we look at the design window, it's down here. That's very nice. I think we see it runs a function, build pause transcript. It says builds a plain text transcript from word timestamps with inject pause and log pause markers so the LLM can hear the rhythm of the recording. So this is a feature that was implemented actually upon kind of the suggestion of Gemini Pro when I'm going to have to go back to using that once I run out of compute on this thing, this Kiro thing. But this was a good idea, a good suggestion, because I have transcripts from some sort of recording. Usually talking to the camera or just talking while I'm handling things like a unboxing. And you can't translate how the audio sounds if there's no spacing. So the pause with the brackets or long pause with brackets, those are added to the transcript based on the size of gaps between speaking. That's what that function does. It's a pretty cool way of giving the AI more knowledge about a transcript. Then let's see what this says. Loads the prompt library. So when you give the AI a big text prompt, and there's a feature in here now to save a global list of them, but also a specific list for each project, depending on if you need something different. I don't know the current state of what's implemented offhand, I'd have to look at the code, but it should have, like I said, the global list plus potentially, if you need a specialized prompt, that'll be able to be changed. So that's what that does. Again, this is more higher level. This is design, really. And just the wording of this, and I also prompted an AI in the past, I think it was Kuro, to make all of the, what are they called? The documentation-based comments at the top of functions and all that. So we can see here that it shows up in the IntelliSense. So that was definitely worth the compute to get those functional comments in there. Because now I can personally go through here and understand it in a better way. I would say that so far, the naming that it's been using for functions and all that looks good. Looks nice. Whatever this is, I would not say is a great piece of code. So it says string model1, model pass dot length greater than. This is an inline if statement. So again, if you don't understand code at all, especially whatever language you're using, you need to know how it functions enough to be able to see something and say, okay, that's how it should work. And then you can, in your head, say, does this make sense? Is this how it's supposed to work? Because you can kind of process it in your mind as you're reading it. So it's basically saying if the model pass dot length property is greater than 0, so that means if there's a model in this, it looks like a string array. Ordered array of GGUF model paths for the agentic engine. So this is multiple LLMs. So Phi, whatever it's called, Phi Mini or something. Gemma 4. And I think I have another one in there. So that's what that is. And this was probably filled up here somewhere. So there's a string array. But we have to look around and see where it's actually filled. Oh, it's passed from. So this function passes the list. So it's filled with the caller. So again, the inline if statement, that's what the question mark indicates, and then you've got your else, if else, with the colon. So again, if we look at this, if this is true, do this. Otherwise, do that. And it's going to be pushing whatever this or this into this variable. I think it's fine. It's more, yeah, compared to a regular if statement, I think this is just as readable and it's simpler in a way. So I don't mind that. It's just a little bit different than like the old traditional if statement writing stuff like this. So if else. Anyways, yeah, there's a lot going on here. And that was the extent of this new feature, this block of code. Not that one. Where is it? Run retake zone. No, that's not it. It's this one. So this block of code here is the new one as far as I can tell. Yeah. So let's run that. I'm going to swap to my test drive. So we've got a few projects that do have information in them. We have some stuff that has a transcript. I don't know if I need to rerun it though. Think about it. Let's do the base model. I can rerun it just to see what happens. So it should be doing a transcript on 4 different items here. This needs to be fixed, but I have limited space. So let's click that. And we can pop out our little console window. You can see the base model of Whisper timestamped, which is the OpenAI Whisper, but then there's a open source project that adds more exact timestamping of words to it. And that's what I use. And also we can see that it's running this acoustic analyzer, which is, trying to remember the name of the project. Rosa something? LibRosa, something like that. And it looks at the sound itself rather than just converting the sound to words. And it adds additional data that we can use in the future. So I think it's still going. Yeah. Pretty cool. You can see the acoustic JSON file. And then we've got the words one. We've got some of the files in here. So we've got the acoustic one here, the auto edit, which I'm going to rerun. And then these are some of the additional ones that can be made based on these checkboxes here. So you can have captions in CSV format, SRT, DSV, text, VTT, and then words in these formats. This is all based on, again, that open source project that I'm using. It offers these as options. I don't know if I'll ever use them, but they could be useful. So if we look at one of these files, it's a pretty big file, but you can see this is the acoustic information. It's not super useful to read, but it's a lot. And there could be ways to make this much more efficient. I'm just going to leave it for now. But yeah, this is helpful for certain stuff already. And then we can look at the words file. So one of these. So you can see in the transcription, we've got a full line of text, but then it breaks it down into pieces. And then it breaks it down all the way to a single word. It's got the start point, the end point, and the confidence level. So you can imagine this could be useful in a ton of ways. Getting a closer clip for an edit, pretty much anything. So there's another one, and it's broken down. Very cool. Then we go to the auto editing features. This is the new one. So I'm going to click that and see if it works. We can apply it to this one for sure. I think that's the one with, actually, I'm going to apply it. I'll do it on all of them. See what happens. So let's click generate. That is strange. I wonder if it, yeah, source selection markers. Yeah, there's something wrong with it. Oops. It's an old project. So I think some things were not made. This is a good, see, this is a good bug because this is an old project that I've been using for development, and anything that might have changed based on making a global setting file or something that has those prompts in it, it's not going to be there. So there should be some sort of fallback code that recognizes that and fixes it. So this is the bug. This is good. Let's look for trying to figure out where. Copy. Oh, maybe I'll just take a bit more here. That should be good. Let's go back to Kiro. And then we're going to give it some information here. I don't know which one I should use. So if we look up here and paste this, and I'm going to give it the specific one just so it knows exactly this. Already generated. There we go. Prompt library. Yeah. So it's suggesting a migration step in the prompt manager. So it's doing testing. Did it load 2 of them? That was cool. Man, this is so impressive. I don't know if I need to stop it. Let's see. Pipeline tests. Vegas fix check. Yeah, if I hit the limit of compute on this thing, because it's already 416 and 500, it's going to be a pain in the butt trying to fix it by hand. So I don't want to run some big thing with that little bit of compute left. I'm not going to pay for it either, so I'll have to go back to Gemini Pro in AI Studio. Or maybe try Codex or whatever, Cursor or whatever. See what their free tiers are like. But I really do like this one. I like the design focus. But I mean, it looks very token expensive to do it this way. So I really wish I had something like this, but would run locally. I think it's running. Hmm. I don't even know what tests it's working on. Okay. Huh. So it says prompt manager load library now merges any missing default profiles into an existing library in every load and resaves. Auto edit pipeline runner retakes source sections and flub now throw a clear invalid operation exception when the LLM paths aren't configured. So it did something to the test suite. Vegas integration runners now carry both category integration and category Vegas integration traits. So they properly excluded from the standard .NET test filter run. File deletion in both runners is now resilient. That took 17 tokens. Okay, let's go back to Visual Studio. Okay. And then we can go to here and then click this and then expand the size of this a little bit. And then this one. Okay, it looks like it's working. I can see that it missed the 3 pass unless it considers this part of the group. Which is a logical error because this was inside this box. I'll have to look at the code. So what it's doing now is it's running a local model on my computer to try to find sections inside these source files, like logical sections. Let me see if it has the prompt in here. I don't know. I can't scroll it. Every time I try to scroll it, it changes. But so I found different zones for this file. And then should have run on multiple here. Found ones for this one. Yeah. That's good. That looks decent. Now we can do a test of on the Vegas Pro side. So this is the project. I don't remember which one is what, but okay, that's not the one that I want. Let's go with this one. I'm gonna delete that. I don't remember which files. So yeah, WAV file, we've got the movie. So 0574. And then we've got our scripts. We've got section markers. Did it not work? Oh no. There we go. Section testing Lego mounts. Section testing taped Lego slide. And then there's using high frame rate. And then there's a conclusion. So look at that. Pretty cool. That's great. And then we've got silence stuff. I didn't run that, so it's old data. And that's that one. There's also the flub remover. I think that's the old one. That's not great. It might be this one. I didn't run that either though. Anyways, that's cool. It works. The new one. Trying to think of. Let me confirm with the AI what's going on here. Instead of, I could look at the code myself, but you know, we can have it look for us. What do they call it? Retag. I should probably close this. I'm concerned about file like access conflicts. And what is it called? Um, it shouldn't be much. Yeah. See, initially the AI placed this third checkbox into the retake group, which was wrong. So I moved it out manually. I was just curious to see if it actually tried to link them up programmatically without actually looking at the code and letting this thing look at the code. Oh, they're already up to 433.25 credits out of 500. So I don't know if I'm going to even try to implement another feature in this, because I could be stuck with a half implemented feature. Once I run out of credits, that would not be great. It's running the tests. No, actually, maybe that, yeah, that doesn't make sense. Okay, we'll see what it looks like. Let's see if it places things in a reasonable. Yeah, it looks good. That's clean. Nice. Actually, I want this one at the top. That looks good. Let's see if it actually works. Actually, let's run it on this one. And then that. So it should run 3 passes. I don't remember if it uses different models or just uses the same. I think it uses the same model 3 times. So Gemma 4. See what we got going here. I don't know if it's supposed to print it out like that. Okay, I think it does this. Well, why is that in here? Yeah. What's the result? It looks like at some point it failed at printing the result properly. Senior editor. Yeah, it just doesn't look right. Well, let's go back and give it the console data. I'm gonna give it the whole thing. Close that. Oh, there's an actual error. Oh. Oh. Yeah. I didn't see that. I'm still working on stuff here. How are you? Trying to get this thing that finds regions of recording. So different sections. It works basically, but I see an issue because I have a single pass version, so it runs the local model once, and that was fine. But I have a 3-pass version where it has 2 different quote unquote editors for the video looking at the information, and then it passes that to a third one that decides the result. But there's some issue with it. Not sure what it's doing. Time run up on the. We'll see. It said 440, 500 credits. So the credits are based on tokens and such, I would assume. So it says 3 changes. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. It says changing files here. Okay, that was weird. Was it trying to use a different model? Hmm. Yeah, that was a future idea that I wanted to try, but I didn't think that this thing was doing it yet. We'll see. Let me see. I thought that. Okay. Why would it use 5 for 2 of them? That makes no sense. Let's see. Which models I have in there? Hmm. Oh, I only have 2 of them in there. I thought I had 3. That's odd. I don't know what happened to the other one. That's strange. Both the retake feature and the... Oh, Gemma's... No, that's in there. Let's see. Yeah, I've got 50 some Under 50 tokens. This might be too much. Okay. Junior, senior, lead. Quen 2.5, 7B. Oh, it's doing it. Bro, I told you. So that I would download it. Wait. I know it's reading websites. Okay. Okay. I was gonna say. Let's download that. Let's see if the link works. Yeah. So we've got various options here. Suggested. Okay. It doesn't say any specific one. So maybe go for a bigger one. There's 5-bit, 6-bit, 8-bit. That's 8 gigabytes. That's too much. That one's 7, so context might be, well, 6.25 context might be a little difficult for my 8 gigabyte VRAM. This one's Q5KM. I don't know what the KM stands for. Guess I could ask it. There's KL. Q40. Doesn't look like I can select these easily to copy paste. Always prefer K over non-K. M. Medium, large. Importance matrix. Okay. And download. $15. 12 minutes. Oh, I'm going to use the restroom. I'll be back. Oh, it's still... Wow, why is it so slow? I guess it is 4.4 gigabytes. It's running at like 5 megabytes a second. Let's take a look at news or something. No. Hmm. It's not much. $250 million for Apple. That's not much. Google DeepMind workers vote to unionize over military AI deals. Interesting. I'll just leave this up here. Where's my face cam? Oh. I think probably my ideal local thing would be once Apple, I mean, for the AI stuff, once Apple releases the M5 Ultra stuff. But the problem is, given the hardware situation, it's probably not going to have like a ton of maximum RAM. I think from what I had last seen, it was like 256 gigabytes would be nice, but one terabyte of RAM would be very very nice. And just having that as a thing to run this type of stuff would be very nice. I would assume the M5 stuff is pretty good too, at least compared to the M3 Ultra. That a lot of the people, there's a bunch of subreddits for this stuff that I read, and the local llama group says that the M3 Ultra isn't that great. So I don't think I would want one of those, because it struggles on certain tasks with the amount of compute that it has. Even though you can get a ton of RAM in it, or at least you used to. I think they removed some of the larger RAM models, given the current situation with hardware. Because it seems one of the most efficient options, which I like efficient stuff. I don't like, Apple seems to insist on making things very small for the style of it or something. So if they were to put that in a larger chassis with even more cooling and such, that would be better in my opinion. But I don't know how much of a difference performance wise would make. Who knows? I guess if it didn't make any difference, then I guess it doesn't matter. But even I would prefer like a low noise profile and stuff too, which generally larger hardware, you can get much lower noise because the fans are larger, physically larger. Stuff like that. But we can look and see. Release date. So let's go to Google instead. I feel like they tend to give better current information. October. Man. October. Not that I have money for it, because I don't have money for that. I'm not logged in here, so it's not giving me the option to respond to it. Okay. That's 512. Hmm. Yeah, 1 terabyte would be ideal for this stuff. Assuming even the compute of an M5 type thing, Ultra would be enough to utilize that. Maybe it wouldn't be. But I mean, a lot of the time they're doing these experts things, so it splits up stuff, which might work. I don't have any experience with it because I just don't have the hardware to test with it. So that's done. I need to get that into the proper folder. Switch to here for a second. Show in folder. Yeah, it doesn't even have the AI mode button. I think they do because I'm not logged in here. Kind of irritating. Two nanometer. Oh boy. Face cam, sorry. Didn't realize that. Is this old? Hmm. Problem is, anything with a lot of RAM will be stupidly expensive. Okay, that article was kind of useless. Bro, what? Why is this thing popping up and it won't go away? Yes. That's why another reason I don't like this. Did it run out of compute? And I just don't see it. Let's close this and reopen it. That would be irritating. It's up to 470. Continue. Bro. Hmm. It's not that difficult. B&H. I wonder how much money they spent on that thing. Again, it's the M3. I wouldn't pay retail price for the thing. Wow. A Mac Mini. Well. That's not great. It's only 8. Is that the old one? Yeah. Hmm. Okay. Let's see. So run the test suite. All right. Yep. Actually, I'm going to close this. Let's open up. Whoops. Let's open up this. Let's take a look at the UI. So I didn't quite fit it in there. I'm not surprised. That was not correct. This isn't really used, I don't think. Just gonna get it out of the way for now. See what we got here. Click that and let's try the multipass mode. Oops. This one, I'm gonna uncheck that. So this should load 3 different models in sequence. And these are the 3 different models. Why would it start with this one? Eh? Makes no sense. Is it loading them all at the same time? I don't think it worked right. Wait. Maybe it did. Kind of. It should have something here. Considering this. Let's go back to the other one. Oh, I'm gonna run this. I gotta do something, but I'll come back. We'll see if we make it with compute. There's not much left. I bet. course of flipping. I thought it was like that to begin with. Huh? Yeah. Hmm. That's the settings tab. What is it talking about? I didn't even know there was a settings tab. At some point, it must have been made. Who knows? Yeah, there's a settings tab. Okay. Switch it here for a second. Browse. I don't know if I like that hard-coded path thing. I'm not going to do that. I didn't ask for that. At least I didn't think that I asked for that at some point. Do I get bored? Not really. This is kind of the this is this is like, how could I put it? This is like baby programming right now, what I'm doing. So if you get into it for a job at any point, you'll you'll have to get used to it or enjoy it. Depends on your perspective. I'm gonna end stream pretty soon here though, because I gotta do other stuff. It's getting late too, but I'm just trying to see if I can get this working, and then I'll be done for now with this, at least on stream. Uh, they're saying I enjoy it, but when a problem comes, I try to fix it. Still not works. It's frustrating. Yeah, I feel like the whole AI thing is kind of going to be the, at least it started to be the way that that's not an issue too much anymore. And it clearly still is, because even the AI isn't smart enough to deal with some stuff and it misses things. But this, compared to programming it all by hand, the frustration level for me is much, much, much higher doing it by hand than this, because this is just talking to it. Yeah, you're not using, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, doing it by hand, I get what you're saying. Let's see. Especially when you get into trying to implement APIs and very specific niche things, it can get very difficult because sometimes it doesn't work right. You don't know what's going on. Yeah. Yeah, it looks at the source file, well, source media file, and it breaks it into sections of logical sections. So if I have an opening and ending portion and then certain areas of the video that I record, it's something that I'm going to edit. So if there's a section about some camera feature and then another section about another camera feature, it's supposed to look at all of that and logically split it up. And it works, but I'm trying to use that multiple model approach and it has issues. Oops. So the general idea is that it does 3 passes. The first one's like a video editor, a person that's editing a video and looking at the source file, and they're trying to split it up into sections and then marking it. So each one does that, or technically 2 of them do it, and then the third one looks at the results of the other 2 and combines them, decides what should be the final result. So you can do it with one model 3 times, or do it with 3 models, and each model does one step. Or I mean, you could do any combination. I was just curious to see if I would get better results with 3 different models. Because I just don't have the hardware to run really large models, which would be ideal. So these small ones, I'm just seeing if they work better as a combination or is it like a single one. Yeah. Well, I'm basically out of compute, so I don't know if I should have this run. Yeah, that's probably not enough. Let's see. And for each pass before moving to the next, attempt to parse the JSON result. Parsing returns an empty list failed. Clearly visible warning, substitute fallback to Gemma 4 for the remaining passes. That looks good. I'll have to do this by hand, but it seems safer than letting it mess with stuff. Oh, it only used 1 point. Huh. So I have to go into global settings. Oh, I can just click on it. Let's replace. There we go. Next. This is actually pretty nice too. Very convenient. Place the entire. What? I don't know what it means. Let's replace this with this. Yeah, that's kind of irritating. It doesn't tab things properly. There we go. Let me close this. I don't want that messing with files when I'm changing them myself. Agentic. What? There we go. Go to definition. Does this have code and definition? Okay. Place this one. Hmm. There we go. Next. Copy. I'll just put it here. Tab. is it doing that? Save. So that should hopefully work. I'm gonna switch to Visual Studio. See what happens. Build. Nice. So we got this. Let's do that and multi-model. Whoops. This one. See if it works. Okay, it's got phi as the first one, that's correct. The JSON output looks okay, so that failed. This one. Or this one. So it looks good. So it looks like that one also failed. It's like a big mess. Or did it? So at least it worked. So we can see setup and overview, Lego mount. This is a little video slide that I made out of Lego blocks, bricks, and wheels and stuff. This is an old video, but it's okay for testing. So that looks good. Yeah. I'm impressed how good the Gemma 4 model is compared to the other two for this. If we take this, close that, let's run it, but with this mode. See what we get. Pull up Notepad. So this is our original. And this is single model 3-pass mode. It done? No. There's the second pass, maybe? Okay. Is it done? No. So that's the second pass. There's the third one. So came up with 5 again. Seems pretty consistent. I don't know why there's so many of those. Well, let's take a look. Where's my notepad? Here we go. These are different. This seems wrong. So maybe it doesn't make sense though, because it probably was all Gemma for these ones. Odd. Anyways, I'm done for now. It works basically. I can go in there and run it and see what it produced. Okay, let's switch to what was 574? Here we go. Okay, they're not in there. Yeah. Something broke. Well, let's do single pass mode. Which one is it using? Yeah, it changed things in ways that I didn't want it to change. Yep. I think it's using phi. Or yeah, it is. Man. Okay. Kind of a mess, but technically it works. Anyways, I'm done streaming for now. Okay, I'm gonna head out. Peace. See ya. Switch to here.